Hi, Filmatics. Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Today we have a very special guest. I'm so excited to have her. We have
Mhm.
Mimi DiTrani, and she's the executive producer of a new fantasy franchise, Asunda, at HBO. Mimi, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. And could you just share with everyone where you're recording live from today?
I am actually visiting in Washington, D.C. So I'm on the East Coast, and it's actually warm today, which is pretty exciting. It's been very cold.
Oh yeah, so you're on the in Washington D.C. right now, and is there snow there, or just it's just cold and chilly?
It was very snowy and cold and chilly, and today is 70 degrees. So it's amazing. We had just took a beautiful walk in the park, and yeah, it's kind of cool because the mornings, are a little bit. I can take some time because nobody's up yet in LA, so that's a good. But the hard part is working late at night. So obviously, I got to come home soon. But just nice to see my family after the pandemic, not seeing them in so long.
Yeah, and you have some dogs, right? What kind of dogs are they?
I do. That's why I actually just changed rooms because they bark a lot. I have an Anatolian Shepherd, so she's a huge dog, about 125 pounds,
Oh wow.
and then we have a little terrier mix, and she's about 10 pounds. So they're a very funny pair, but they love each other very much.
Kind of like yin and yang, right? I love it. And
Yes, exactly.
yeah, I have to share something with you funny. Speaking of snow, last night it started raining in Los Angeles, and I ran out
Oh wow.
to get my dog beds out there, and because I didn't want them soaking wet because I have a husky. And I go, "What is this?" It was ice. It was like ice, like it's snow, or maybe what do you call that?
Really?
Yeah, it
Like
was
slush?
slush.
Sleet?
Yeah, or hail or something, like where there was like hard snow ice cubes on top of her bed. I go, oh my gosh, there's like ice slush out there. It was,
Wow.
yeah. And so that just would happen
I
last night.
can't even remember it ever snowed. I think one year in all the years I lived there, it snowed in Malibu, like, and everybody was talking about it. But that's about it. It must be feel kind of nice change.
Yeah, it was so funny because I'm like, what is this? Like, it was like slushy ice, and I go, oh my gosh, it's like the rain and cold, I guess. So that's what you missed yesterday from in LA. But I want to get to like,
Well, I've had enough here.
yeah, yeah. I'm so excited to talk about your fantasy franchise.
Thank you.
It's comic book, right? It's based on a comic book.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not really of this world, so I have to be very careful and specific because people in it take it very seriously. I was a talent manager. I represented actors for many years, and I had a client who had been in a franchise, and she would go to comic book conventions and sign autographs. And I saw they're books and comics. So the books they're graphic novels, meaning most of the pages are painted, really exquisite artwork, and they're large. Like I would liken them to a Taschen book or a coffee table book, and they have comics that go with them. So it's a very large fantasy mythology. I guess the difference, just to really simplify it, is that in most comics, if you think of Superman, you have to go into a telephone booth and get your cape on, right, to have your superpower. In our world, you're born with it, so you just are who you are. You don't have to do any sort of tricks to change, and that's really fascinating to me because the characters are incredible in this. So I wanted it for her to star in at the time. She was a young mixed race girl. It's all Black characters, but it was 2015, and everyone told me it would never happen. It was such a compelling story. I never forgot it, and I gave it another shot again a couple years later, and right as Black Panther opened, so my timing was better. And I thanked Ryan Coogler for that personally. And everybody wanted to buy it all of a sudden. It was like Netflix, Disney, it was all over the place, but it was pretty exciting, and we settled at HBO.
So I'm so excited to talk about that path and journey. But our favorite question here to help our listeners to find your path to your success in Hollywood is,
Sure.
we would love to ask, what was one of your favorite films growing up as a child?
One of my favorite films growing up as a child was Suspicion. I really I loved anything in the late 1930s, early 1940s, especially Hitchcock films. I would say Suspicion or Rebecca, some of his work in 1939.
Oh yeah, Alfred Hitchcock, amazing, and he would storyboard
Yes.
everything before he even did it. So maybe he loved comics.
He had, there's a lot of depth and, to his work that people don't often realize. I know a couple of his movies are getting kind of criticized in the press right now, like Psycho, etc. But he was very ahead of his time, and he had a vision, and that was it. It was his vision or no vision.
Yeah, and he had some extraordinary shots, like those tilted shots, or that one, the Stranger in a Train, where the glasses are on the
Yes.
ground, and oh my gosh, and the feet. I just
Yeah.
remember all
Yes.
that. Which leads me to my next question: is like, do you have perhaps a favorite movie from the Criterion Collection that might have inspired your career path?
I think, yeah. I mean, I have several. I would say the movie that really wanted, I hate to say it because again it's a little bit controversial right now, but it probably has to be Gone with the Wind. I saw it over and over, and I must have watched it a million times, but just the story, the characters, the romance, the grandeur. I've always wanted to work, I think ever since I can remember, in theater or the movies, and that was certainly a turning point film for me.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sometimes, yeah, and it's interesting how like each generation, some films are those that are leaders, and then and another generation, it could be just like you said, something that's being criticized, or it's very interesting how film plays in our society, like film and TV, and how things change and how society changes. So it's very
Sure. Well, yeah, and if you read the book, they stayed true to the book, and so at that time, if they did it today, they probably would have painted the relationship with the slaves in a different way. But for me, what was so compelling was the strong female character. Just she ruled the world. She did what she wanted to do. She lived her life her way. She made mistakes. She fell down, but she got up. She had courage. The sort of corny "I'll never be hungry again" speech is iconic to me because we do have lows, and I think those make us stronger and more determined. And people tell us we can't, and we can. And we won't, but we do. And I think that's, for me as a young girl, was very inspiring about Scarlett O'Hara. She wasn't always so nice, but she's lived life on her own terms. And
yeah, she definitely. Yeah, I love strong female characters too because I think that's we need to see that as females or whatever. I think I'm the older generation that I say he and she. So I hope that people will give grace to people in different generations, is because kindness is a two-way street, is what I believe. But speaking of, I want to know what is one of your favorite directors, and if you can share a favorite film shot from a movie.
Well, I don't want to be redundant, but my favorite director is hands down Alfred Hitchcock. And if we could talk about the shot that I'd always, one of the things that I talk about, and certainly now in Making a Fantasy, is this idea of simplicity. If you see M. Night Shyamalan's movie Signs, it would have been so much less terrifying. More terrifying if you didn't see the monster, right? Like the first one, your imagination is scarier than anything. So there's a scene where you believe Cary Grant might be trying to kill her, the wife, but you don't know for sure. And he's a little bit, mysterious, and she thinks that he read a book about putting poison in a drink. And there's a scene where he's walking up the stairs. It's just this really beautiful long shot. It's very dim, and he's carrying on a tray a glass of milk, and it's very quiet. And she's, we know she's terrified up in the bedroom, and it follows him, and the light sort of shines on the milk. And the milk in the glass, which is that very handsome, austere Cary Grant holding it, is terrifying. And, that's that kind of simplicity and elegance to me is like I said, better than sometimes CGI.
Yeah.
More effective.
Yeah, and it's interesting because some of the films that we talk about here on the Criterion Collection, they were before special effects, and that's why that we, some of them were so stunning. Like there was no special effects; it was character driven, and then the master directors that told a story, and those artists are like the Bicycle Thief, the Cinema Paradiso, Federico
Yeah.
Fellini, and you just
Yes.
watch these movies, and you're just, so yeah.
Gaslight is another one,
Yeah.
or Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. They just, you never knew, she was going to murder her or not. And there's no gimmicks. There's no gimmicks. There's just story and plot and narrative. And I think that we lose something when we overwhelm. I mean, there's something. Listen, if we get to make our show and we get dragons in it, I'm not going to complain because we have dragons in the story. But but still, I mean, what we really try to focus on is sticking to the story, the characters, the relationships. They may be elves, they may be they may be all orcs, but they have they have their own plots and characteristics and history, and that made them who they are. And I think sticking to that is important.
Yeah, and then so yeah, also like that makes a good point. So these these tentpole films and these Marvel action films, or these science fiction, or these big heavy special effects films, I think everybody has a place in the sun, and I always like balance, and whatever, like you said, like character driven, what serves the story, what serves the characters in the best light, and incredible filmmakers are doing it right, and are telling those beautiful stories. So we're so excited to find out more about your amazing Asunda HBO. But I want to ask you, people are like saying, well, she was a manager and now she's an executive producer. So perhaps we can learn about your journey, where you started from. Were you from LA or do you move from DC, right?
Yeah, I grew up in DC. I went to school. I went to drama school at Northwestern in Chicago, Northwestern University, and took a course on the business of entertainment. And I had a cousin growing up, and he'd been an agent way back in the day, and I remember him talking about it. And I learned a lot about it, and that's what I wanted to do. I thought I'd moved to LA, and I wanted to work for the top agency, CAA, and the top agent. And I went out there with $500 in my pocket, and a rent-a-wreck, and stayed with friends. And I guess I just sort of, to be completely honest with you, I went to CAA and I cold called HR and said that I'd submitted my resume, which I had via fax. I'm really dating myself. And were they looking for new assistants in the motion picture talent department? And very coincidentally, they'd had a girl quit that day with no notice because she was going to work for a very high profile producer, and left this motion picture talent agent in a lurch. And they said, could I meet her? And was I nearby? Well, we know that I was. And so I went in and I met her. She's amazing. She's been a role model to me. She's a manager now. And that was it. We just fell in love, and she hired me on the spot. And within a year, I was working for the owner of the company, that as I dreamt of. So it was pretty amazing.
And you worked for one of the top people. Are you allowed to share his name or?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Kevin Huvane, he's very prolific, obviously, and he's a great lover of talent, and they love him, and he's very charismatic, and he's got his own persona. And I was determined, and I kept sending him scripts. And he represents people like Meryl Streep and Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman, but he has, sort of a second tier. And I figured no one was sending him ideas for those people, more working actors. So I kept doing that. And he finally called, and I thought he was calling for my boss. I said she wasn't there. And he said, no, I'm calling for you. Who are you? And can I meet you? And, it was very exciting. But the funny thing is that they kept scheduling it, and then it would get rescheduled, and I would have to buy a suit that I was going to return. And I didn't know to wear it which day. And so the day that I actually got the interview was definitely confirmed. I had to rush back to my place in Santa Monica and get the suit I was going to return and have the interview. And it was pretty funny. And he hired me as second assistant, and within a few months he came back and said, you're being wasted back here, just do you want to come sit with me and be the first assistant? And I think I was the first girl. So it was really an honor. It was incredible.
Oh, congratulations. I mean, your determination, your tenacity, your ideas, and you work with the top guy at CAA, Kevin Huvane. I mean, and
Yes.
and the fact that he recognized something special in you and recognize that you are true. Like and to have that person, and that's what we need more of, like us females, or anyone that is working so hard, to have someone champion you, to give you that step up the ladder, because we really, the people do need that help to get up there, because they might be working their hardest and doing things. But I really believe that, and I believe it was your destiny, because when you get,
Thanks.
yeah, because there's so many stories that come on here, and it's like the universe helps the person to go in the right path, and your path is extraordinarily and amazing, because sometimes, when one door closes and it's frustrating, it brings you tears and heartbreak, but the other door is more spectacular and even better than you can even imagine. And I believe, I really believe that for you, because we've been talking, and I'm so excited. So you came from DC with $500, this rent a car, right? A rent a car.
Well, I don't know. The joke was, I went to Northwestern, and a lot of my friends did go out to LA to work in the entertainment industry, and I wanted to rent, interview, and I found a place called Rent a Wreck, and it was like cars that they use in movies and stuff. I think mine had bullet holes in it, but obviously when I decided to move there, my grandpa was very sweet and gave me $500, and I leased a brand new little Jetta, little Volkswagen Jetta, because I wasn't going to drive into CAA with a bullet hole car. But it was just for the week I was there, staying with friends and interviewing. But it was pretty funny, and then of course I got the job so quickly that I did get a paycheck, but it wasn't. It's hard. Most of the kids that work through those programs. It's an apprenticeship business, right? So you have to be an assistant and do all those. They don't pay well. I mean, it's really, if you don't have that kind of background of, when I was in the mailroom, for example, there was a kid who had two cars, one for the mailroom, one for real life, and it does make life easier. So I really did invent Rent the Runway, because when I worked for Kevin, I had to do lots of events. I had to walk, Michelle Pfeiffer into this, or, do the Golden Globes parties. So it was, buying dresses, and I'm not proud of it, and returning them at Bloomingdale's the next day. And, because I wasn't going to let that stop me from getting from making it through the program and becoming a manager and agent. So it was a creative approach to that program.
Well, also those YouTube kids, those little kids that open up toys, I think that there's a lot of Target returns or Walmart returns or Toys R Us returns, because some of those kids that they said that their parents couldn't, the families didn't have the money either. And so, but now he bought I think some of those kids are buying their parents' houses. So, it's like when you are like, I guess, don't have the budget or that, so you got to be creative, like secondhand stores, or making your clothes, or like finding people that you can borrow clothes for. But I have to tell you a funny story. Some of my friends are billionaires from Florida, and I remember, and it was just so shocking, I thought, because they go, oh, we're gonna go to Ross Dress for Less, and for a New Year's Eve dress. And I was like, you're going to Ross to get your New Year's Eve
TJ
dress?
Maxx, you can get some nice stuff.
And I'm like, but they're a billionaire. They're a billionaire family. Like,
that's why they're billionaires. You know what I mean? Like they don't nobody really walks into a Louis Vuitton and buys the bag. I mean, usually you find the way. Some people do, but definitely not any actors. But that's and I also developed sort of a classic style, and I just picked a couple good pieces. You can go into one of those stores and buy. I remember finding a Prada, shirt that had like a collar, and it was white, just a very simple. You pair it with some black pants, and you mix it around, and so everyone thought I had this really wonderful classic style, and it's just, which I ended up keeping. So, and beyond that, it wasn't important to me. What was important to me was to get there early, to stay there late, to read everything I could, to just digest everything. To learn from him. And, I wasn't intimidated by his clients. I don't really know why. It's just, I'm not a starstruck kind of person. And so I was able to really dive in there, and he trusted me I remember telling Brad Pitt couldn't reach anybody. And he was like, should I just pass on this, or what should I do about this script? And I had read it, and I had an opinion, and I gave it to him, and he did. And I told Kevin later, and he was like, great, now we can move on. He learned to trust my taste, to talk to clients about things like that. So when I became my own manager, working with my young clients, I had that confidence, right? So if you're able to tell Brad Pitt to pass on something, or whomever, you're probably able to tell a little actor out of drama school how to shape their career. So because he trusted me and gave me that freedom, it really shaped my trust and my taste.
Do you have any funny stories you can share with us? I mean, I know it's probably all confidential and stuff, but if you have any funny stories, I'm sure our audience would like love to hear anything.
From working with him, or just throughout the years?
Yeah, with working with him or the clients that you were able to.
Well, there was one really funny day that just came to mind. So Tom Cruise is he's actually really wonderful. But he doesn't like to leave messages. He's all about his communication center being open, and I guess it's part of the. And I got very close with him actually, and he did offer me a job to be his assistant, which I was gonna do, but he sent me all the books and I read them and I thought, oh, I can't really do this. So if he called, you had to find Kevin, right, wherever he may be. And there happened to be a day, and they were already broken up and it was long past, but I didn't know if I was still learning. I didn't know if they were getting along. Nicole Kidman was in the office and she was sitting on the couch waiting for him, and I had to put him in the bathroom on the phone. But it was old school, so the phone had a cord, so the cord's like he had his own bathroom, but it's reaching across the hall, and there he is in the bathroom talking to Tom, and I'm talking to her. And she actually fainted. I don't know why. I don't remember why. She was like, her blood sugar was low. So I was juggling two of the biggest stars in the world, and she was not feeling well. And Tom likes to talk for quite some time. So that conversation was happening in poor Kevin in the bathroom, and there's this cord in the middle. But it worked out. We worked it out, and everybody was okay, and she was okay, and he got his call in, and Kevin's the master at making stuff, just being impromptu. And that's probably one of the funnier stories I remember from working with him. And we laughed about it after.
And that's part of, like juggling and being a showrunner, a producer, and working with talent. And it's amazing that
they were both very sweet people. And I think they get along now. And they were both just couldn't be nicer. And it was really made that day so easy. It was just, I wasn't sure if they got, I didn't know what the relationship was like. So I was trying to be respectful of both of them. But I'm sure they have a wonderful relationship, especially now. Years later.
She's an incredible actor. And, I mean, my mom's Italian. She loves the Tom Cruise action films. Like, she's Italian. They love Jason Statham. If Jason Statham can come on the show, my mom, it'll make her.
Oh, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah. She's always like, Jason Statham.
He's wonderful.
Yeah. And
he's a cool guy.
She doesn't know all the names of action films, so that's the one actor she kind of knows the name. And I go, all right, I already found all the free ones on YouTube with the ads that I can find, but maybe one day I'll get Netflix. so which leads me to like, I want to go on the journey of you leaving CAA and becoming a manager, and then becoming an executive producer. So we have a little bit time left on the first half of the story, and so if you want to share anything else, and then we're going to go to part 2 pretty soon.
It was actually Kevin, because I got along so well with the clients and was very intimately involved with their lives. He thought that would be I'd be a good manager and so I went to work at a place called AMG. They don't exist anymore. And so as it was kind of disassembling, they tried to be the firm, but it was kind of, people were dissembling. I reached out to a manager named Jason Weinberg, who's just started a company called Untitled Entertainment. And I said, here's who I am. This is what I've done. We've met each other at a couple parties. I'll come work for you for free. Just give me a shot. Give me a phone and a computer and just give me a chance. So I met with them, and they hired me that very day. It was very cute the way they did it. I was leaving the office. I thought it went well. And he called and he said, we're just kidding, right? We're totally hiring you. And I was like, oh my God. So it was $500 a week. It wasn't free. It was a broken broken-ish computer in the reception area with a phone. And I built my list, and he gave me that opportunity. I didn't have to, usually at a company, they have to promote you within first. So he gave me that opportunity to sort of, and that's where it all happened. And from then I just kind of grew my business, and by discovering people, really.
And you had some spectacular talent. Like you spotted
Yes, I'm very proud
amazing.
of them.
Are you allowed to share anything or any stories? Or
Meghan Markle. I think I was her first manager. Um, but yeah, I mean, I found people in really odd places. Sometimes it'd be a showcase, it would be a comic book convention. Sometimes it would be through another client. I saw one guy on a guest star, on an episode of House, and I've never watched it before or since, and I don't know why I turned on that. He ended up becoming a huge star, because I wasn't given anyone. I found some, I discovered Whitney Cummings in an elevator. Jonah Hill had 2 lines in our client's movie, Naomi Watts at the time, and I asked to meet him. So he literally had 2 lines. You'd find people in very, very, I can just see, it's a feeling I get. Sometimes they would just be, I don't know how to really explain it. And that's how I felt when I found the books I'm working on. It's just, it's a feeling when you meet someone, you just kind of know they're good, they've got it, and that they've got something. And I really liked interesting and beautiful and complex people, and challenges. So I had a lot of mixed race clients, or just talent, and they were all different. It was fun. And it was really fun just to see them grow, and then you finally get to the big moment, and it's exciting to have done it together.
well, our audience is going to be like, "What? Wait, did she say Meghan Markle's first manager?" So, and are we?
I think it was the first manager. Mm-hmm.
Are we allowed to say how you discovered her or talk about anything like that? Because they're going to be like, "Why did she ask? Why did she ask?"
Somebody was asking me about that. I feel that she went to Northwestern, so I can't remember if she reached out to me through her little agent who I knew at the time. I think that's what happened, or he sent me her picture. I can't, but it came to me, and she was right out of school, and we'd both gone to, I was a mentor for the alumni program, and I met her, and again, she was very different. She just had a really unique look, and she was very ambitious and smart, incredibly smart. And I thought, I remember saying to her, like, you're going to make it somehow, some way through one of these avenues. I'm not really sure which way it's going to go, but she was kind of like a Jonah Hill in that way, just determined, and and it was a long time ago. She was a baby.
Do you remember a first thing that you booked for her, or any? Do you remember any TV shows or films that you booked for her? So the audience will probably.
She was getting close on a lot of things. She was. I can't remember, the first thing she booked. I knew she was doing some TV stuff, and I honestly don't remember. She was very young. I mean, she was just sort of meeting casting directors. It was. There's some people, it's like they have 2 auditions and they get the part. Some people, they kind of have to, the town has to get to know them. They have to start, getting callbacks and testing, and they build from there, right? And she was sort of in that phase, and it was fun. I don't, other than that, I don't really want to say too much about her, because she's got a lot going on.
Yeah, we wish people well, because being in the spotlight is, it's heavy, and then COVID has been heavy for so many people. There's been so many kids. There's been kids depressed during COVID.
Yeah,
and
it's hard.
I've been reading to kids on my other podcast, Enchanting book readings, and I didn't know kids were that depressed, and even adults have been depressed. So we just want to just spread positivity and cheer, and just just saying, like, we just
it's hard what she went through. It sounds like
and we just root for everyone, because and being in the business is hard for anyone, especially if you're in the spotlight. It's extremely tough, because you get all kind of people. And so, but I mean, I'm so excited to talk a little bit more. If we have a few seconds here you said you discovered Whitney Cummings in the elevator. Everyone's going to say, why did she ask about that?
Well, the Whitney Cummings thing was funny, because she was so beautiful, and she was so funny. She's really funny to person, and she's so smart. And we started doing auditions, and she was getting close on things, and people really liked her. They weren't sure what to do with her. She's so unique. And I actually said to her, we did this thing at Sundance called it was called Sundance Spotlight or Sundance Dailies, and she did it with Jay Moore, and it was so funny. And she basically documented each day, and she would, how ridiculous Sundance is, and standing in the lines and the badges. It was really fun. And I thought, forget these auditions, I said, write your own stuff, become you, and do stand up, do just be you, you know, like they're not going to fit into a regular part. Like the parts, the career is going to have to fit you. She's just a bursting, you can't miss her, you know, she's so bursting with confidence and energy and bubbly light and wit. And that's what she started to do. And that's how she built her career. And, you know, she's done it, I think, exactly right.
Great
exactly
advice.
how I saw that she should.
Yeah, great advice. So we're going to come back to part 2 with Mimi DiTrani.